Hello and welcome back to the game room. You know what I love? Video games. You know what I love? Talking about games. And it seems like a lot of people these days who cover games seem to hate them. Or at least the people who play them. Well, that's not me, and that's not the 3,504 of you beautiful people checking out this video here today. Another milestone. We're at 3,500. The countdown to 4,000 is on. Can we do it before the end of the year? Maybe. Let's see. We got another 10 Xbox 360 games. How do I keep pulling these out? Well, I'm talking about some games I've covered before, and I'm continually buying games I probably shouldn't be because I'm an idiot. But hey, that's why you guys are here. So if that sounds interesting to you, let's check it out. There's a lot of games out there, some of which you've never even heard of. That's where I come in. My name's Luke. I've been playing games since the age of 2, and I have no life.
This is my game room.
Alright, so the first game we're starting off with today is one I knew absolutely nothing about. It looks like a cheap Jurassic Park ripoff, and I've seen it in person a few times. I've never picked it up. It is kind of uncommon. You don't see it all the time. And that game is Jurassic the Hunted. Now, this is a first-person shooter where you are investigating a lost ship. You're flying into the Bermuda Triangle, and then you get transported to Dinosaur Land. And the funny thing about this game is it starts you off, there's 3 people on the plane. There's a douchebag, there's a scientist woman, and then some third guy. And obviously the douchebag, I'm thinking, because I'm looking at it from today's perspective, oh, that's got to be the guy who gets killed or something. No, that's you. That's who you're playing as. You are the cocky piece of crap who then gets transported there named Dylan. And you say your name more times, or you hear your name spoken more times in a soap opera. But what's funny is that this is kind of what I imagined Turok the Dinosaur Hunter to be, where it's just you going mano-a-mano against some dinosaurs. Now in this game, instead of using bow and arrows and pistols, you have a full assortment of some automatic weaponry, much like the Turok on the 360, but it's just cheesy, it's over the top, it's janky, does not control well. It really feels like you get overwhelmed with the dinosaurs. There's an adrenaline mode where you can slow down time and then see vital organs for the dinosaurs, but there doesn't seem to be much impact when you fire your gun. However, the game is still fairly cheap enough. I think I got it for around $20. It's creeping up there. Is it a phenomenal game? No. Is this one of those games that's so bad it's good? Maybe. Because I played a couple of chapters in it, didn't get super far, but it really is pretty ridiculous. Like I said, you're in the Bermuda Triangle and it transports you to some prehistoric place, and then randomly these time portals will drop dinosaurs in the middle of the field for you to deal with. So kind of ridiculous, but I kind of like it. So yeah, it's not a great game by any means, but one that I would probably still say pick it up. Now, a game that is from a series I don't have much experience with. I missed a lot of the id Software games, but I've had a lot of people recommend this one, and there's something about it that I was unaware of. So the game is Quake IV. So the intro to this game is pretty phenomenal. You see a guy who's turning, but then he turns and he's missing a hole in his head, and then you realize he's a floating dead Marine in space, and then you see all these other dead Marines in space, and then you go into this big open assault. So it does feel a lot less isolated than, say, something like Doom or some of the other, like when I played Fear the other day. This one, you have a squad of people and you're still going through these similar levels. You have enemies that look like, I'm imagining, I know where the inspiration for some of the enemy designs in Jericho came from, because Quake definitely has these nightmarish triangle pyramid head looking creatures. But what's so cool is there's 2 different versions of this released on the 360. There's one by id, and then there's one by Bethesda. So I'm guessing Bethesda bought out id at some point during this generation. And you'll notice on the back, it says it includes Quake II. So I'm not sure if it's a complete remake or if it's just a port, but some copies of Quake IV will have a bonus disc. And this is something for the collectors to keep an eye out for. The bonus disc has a complete playable version of Quake II on the Xbox 360, which was one of the main reasons why I wanted to pick it up to begin with, because it's a twofer. And it was only about $10 when I picked it up. Like I said, it's hard to tell the value. You don't really see people factor in the bonus disc, but if you're wondering what the bonus disc is, because there's certain ones like the one for Velvet Assassin that's really nothing, or the one for Stranglehold that's a movie, this bonus disc is actually a whole full-fledged game, and one that I would recommend picking up, because who doesn't want to play another version of Quake on the 360? As far as Quake IV goes, I played a little bit of it. I enjoyed it. It had that fun, frenetic, I guess they call them boomer shooters, or just first-person PC shooter that I'm familiar with, and I enjoyed playing it. It's nice. It definitely evoked some of fear, the feelings of the first Fear, but obviously not as much fun in my opinion, because you have the squad with you. But yeah, enjoyable enough. Okay, next one is a game that I remember coming out. So I remember seeing this previewed in Game Informer. It was a remake of a PC game, almost like a reboot, not even a remake, a PC game that came out in the 90s, I want to say. And that game is Thief. Now, at the time, I didn't pick it up because it sounded like a stealth game, and even though it looked cool, I wasn't that interested in it, and I've seen it everywhere. It's dirt cheap. I think I got this for $6. It is another game that does not come with a manual, so it says read the inside of the case. If you're wondering where the disc is, it's still on my 360. I picked it up and realized it was too light. But yes, it's another one that does not have a manual for it, so if you pick up the case in the game, it is CIB. And it reminds me a little bit of Dishonored, which for me is not a great thing. I didn't really enjoy Dishonored all that much. And this kind of seemed like that. A little less polished, a little bit less supernaturalness. You start the game, you're going around robbing things. Now it looks like you can just grab random items and get money for it immediately. So it does not seem like there is a inventory system. You pick locks, you can peek around corners. It's very heavily stealth based. You're not really looking to do much combat in this. And there's a line of sight thing where enemies can see you. You can shoot a rope dart and then climb up it. And it's got a nice old English kind of 1800s feel, or that, that Jekyll and Hyde, that ye olde town feel to it. But I honestly didn't play too much of it because I'm just not that much into a stealth game. The first few sections when you're following your partner, you keep running and have to hide, and I don't like hiding. I like fighting. That's why when I usually play Assassin's Creed games, I'm not big on the stealth, but Thief, still one I wanted to have in the collection, and one that you guys should probably pick up too, because if you like stealth games, it's highly made. It's a quality game. Okay. Here's one that I have spoken of before, but I actually popped it in. So I picked this one up at a swap meet for a steal. I think I got it for about $30, $20, something like that. And that is X-Men Origins Wolverine. Now it says Uncaged Edition, but every Xbox 360 version will say the Uncaged Edition. And it is allegedly the best thing to come out of that horrible movie. You are playing as Hugh Jackman. I believe he is voicing it. They have the actual, the other characters who were in the movie. I think Liv Schreiber is the guy who plays Sabretooth. Now, I don't know much about the actual movie, but playing the game, you start off, and I believe you're in Vietnam. This is before Wolverine has gotten his adamantium skeleton. And it just, much like Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions felt for me, it feels very full of, when you think of hack and slash or mindless game, this is what I imagine. It just did not have, you're going in there, you're using your claws, you're eviscerating people, people get lopped off, people get decapitated, but it just didn't feel right. It felt like there's a reason why it's a 7 or it's an 8. It just doesn't have that thing that from myself takes it to the next level, like say a Gears of War or an Assassin's Creed 4 or something of that nature. I'm not a huge Wolverine fan. I'm not a huge fan of the comics. I like Gambit, and maybe he's in this game, but that's kind of like the same way I felt about when I played Shattered Dimensions. It's very fun. Don't get me wrong. It is very, very fun, but it also feels very forgettable Like, it doesn't feel like the feedback loop of going through, like, there isn't an execute, there isn't something that really gets me viscerally in the game. You know, especially if seeing the recent movie with Deadpool and Wolverine, where he's just going around and just eviscerating people or doing this and that. Yeah, you kind of are doing that, but it doesn't feel like you are. Like, it almost feels like you're cutting through tissue paper instead of cutting through enemies. Which, yeah, makes me sound like a psychopath, but that's what it sounds like. Now, as far as good games go, it is a solid game, but because this game has gotten so damn expensive, this is one of the few ones that has not come back down to earth. At least I haven't looked at it. When I got it was $30. At the time, it was going for $60. It got up to around $100. And I don't think it's come much farther down from that. So while it is a fun game, unless you're a huge Marvel fan, Wolverine fan, or just, you don't mind that mindlessness, then this might be a fun one to pick up. But even though I enjoy playing a game while maybe I'm listening to a podcast or something, I still want a little bit more to it. And this one just wasn't it. Now, one that I was very excited to finally pick up, I mistakenly missed out on this game when it was $30, and I had to pay up for it. So it's going around $50, $60 right now, which is what I got it for. Now, it's a co-op game, but I did not play it co-op. And funnily enough, when this game came out, I thought it was based on the movie, but it's not. It's just a game, and that is the Simpsons game. So the Simpsons game for the 360, I know this was on other systems as well, but it's it looks very nice on the 360. Like I said, it's got the co-op. It looks like playing the cartoon. The game starts off with Homer imagining he's back in that German chocolate land, which, as someone who really enjoyed The Simpsons from the first season to around 2008, 2007, so like seasons 15 or 16, until Family Guy, in my opinion, kind of took over. Even though I watched both, Simpsons really started getting a little too much reliant on Homer being an idiot, and it just kind of fell down. And I don't know how it's still going to this day. But this game is kind of symbolic of that time for myself. I know there's a lot of people out there who say The Simpsons fell off after the first 7, 8 seasons, which I agree with too, but it was still watchable. It was still very watchable until around season 20, which is when I just completely tapped out. But this game, it starts off in that chocolate land, and you're playing as Homer. You can burp to attack. You can attack these rabbit guys, and then you soon get to access Bart too, and you can control both of them at the same time. The second stage has you going through a museum. And it's all the voice actors. It's heavily produced. There's an overworld you can walk around, and you can see different characters from the games spouting off hilarious one-liners. And you can go into the various different locales. So if you're familiar, especially with this iteration, if you like early Simpsons, that's what's also nice about this game, is it's very much early Simpsons. So I haven't seen much of it nowadays, but there's collectibles you can get that for each specific character. Think of it like the way Donkey Kong 64 was, where in some levels you need certain characters to proceed. Out on the overworld, you'll see a thing that needs to be vacuumed, so you need Marge, or you'll see a Bartman icon, so you need Bart, or things like that. So it's set up in a smart way, and I only got Bart and Homer. I never got Lisa and Marge, and I don't know if you have Maggie, but all in all, solid, much better than I expected, which is why I think people talk about this. And the fact that you could play it 2-player co-op, I would imagine it's probably akin a little bit to, say, like a Lego game experience. It has a little bit of that vibe, but a little more edge to it, if that makes sense, because it's The Simpsons. And it's The Simpsons back when, in my opinion, The Simpsons were still watchable. Even if they weren't as good as the originals. Because, come on, it's hard to beat the first 5, 7 seasons. Okay. So here is one that I originally bought this game from my older brother because I downloaded it on my 360, and I downloaded all 5 chapters. I think I gave this to him for a gift at one point, and what's funny is when he gave me his games to hold on to, I thought that he had lost the manual for this, but after I was told by someone in the comments that sometimes it'll say on the back, the manual is the case, and that's the case with this game, and that is Wolf Among Us. I know I talk about all the Telltale games. It's funny, they are fun experiences. There's about 5 or 7 of them. I don't think the Batman one has a release on 360, neither does the Game of Thrones one, but I have all the other ones now. And this is one that, yes, you need to read the case, so it's kind of like that. But it's based on, I think it's a graphic novel where you have almost a seedy underside of the Grimm's fairy tale characters, like Beauty and the Beast, or maybe the Disney fairy tale characters. Little Mermaid, Cinderella, Crooked Man, all the fables and fairy tales. So you play as Bigby Wolf, who's the big bad wolf. He's an investigator, and you're finding out that a lot of the showgirls are getting murdered. So I think like Ariel or some of the other girls like Sleeping Beauty, all these are basically they're nightclub dancers and they're getting targeted by someone, and it's up to you to get to the bottom of it and figure it out. And you run across other characters like like things like Alice in Wonderland or, like I said, Beauty and the Beast, and you have to figure out what the hell's going on, kind of the Telltale choose-your-own-adventure games. Honestly, outside of The Walking Dead Season 1, where you're playing as Lee, this is probably my favorite Telltale experience. Though playing Jurassic Park the other day, I really did enjoy, and the Back to the Future being a pseudo-sequel was interesting, but Wolf Among Us was very good. There was actually a sequel announced, Wolf Among Us 2, before Telltale Games was shuttered, though I believe someone stepped in and bought out the company and is continuing work on Wolf Among Us 2, and it's still one of my favorite stories to this day is when I played this game with my wife, and somehow at the end of the game she had a chance to rip off the head of the Crooked Man, and she did it, and to this day I still remember, I'm still picking my jaw off the floor because the fact that A, that was an option, B, that she jumped for it so quickly, not even a thought. As soon as she saw it, she's like, yes. And man, I just got gotta love her, right? What a wonderful woman I'm married to. So, A Wolf Among Us, one to pick up, plays great on the 360, is one of the best versions of those Telltale games, so I'd highly recommend it. Alright, now this is a funny one. This is a heavy hitter, and it was one that I've been avoiding for a while. It was recommended in the comments, and it's funny, I was recommended to pick up this series game on the Wii way back when, and that game is Onichimbara Bikini Samurai Squad. Now, I bought this game. It's going for around 70 complete. I found a listing where it was in good condition, but there was no other information. It said it was $40 or $45. So, you take a risk. Every once in a while, you take a risk. So, I get it. The damn thing is still sealed. So, it's brand new. It's not opened. And now I'm in that damn quandary like I am with Transformers War or Fall of Cybertron, where it's like, my goodness, can I open this? This is like a $200 game brand new, and legitimately so. Like, this is one that probably will sell for that. I have not played it. I have the one on the Wii. I have the one on the PS4. I have not played it. I really wanted to play it because I hear these games are a lot of fun. It's a two-player co-op game as well, and it's one of those ones I wanted to show Jen just because how ridiculous it is. See how she reacts if she throws me through a table. Who knows? But what should I do? Much like the damn Transformers game. Does anyone have an open copy? Maybe we could trade for it. Like, I just feel bad opening up a sealed copy. But also, how crazy is this? I got a copy of Dead Space Extraction the same way. So sometimes when you buy these listings that say it's in good condition, the risk pays off. But then you're stuck in this position like I am, where I can't go around and slice and dice some zombies because it looked like dumb fun. So I don't know what to do. Maybe we'll see. Maybe we get the 4,000 subs. That'll be because I did an unsealing sealed games for 2,000 subs. Maybe for 4,000 subs, I'll open up that one and I'll open up Transformers and we'll have a day at it. Who knows? Speaking of slicing up zombies, so a game that I did cover before that is all about slicing up zombies, and part of the reason why a lot of people avoided it is because zombies got overplayed around 2013, 2012 after The Walking Dead. Everyone was talking about it. But that game was Yaiba Ninja Gaiden Z. So this is an interesting game. Very, very cool art style. I want to say it came out in 2014, and it only released on the old system. So there was not a Xbox One or a PS4 version. So I believe that is a large reason why it kind of went overlooked. That and the fact that it's focused on zombies, which when The Last of Us was announced, I was over zombies. And I played it, had a wonderful time. But then come 2014, I was not taking a risk on another damn zombie game. I'm sorry. State of Decay was fun. like Dead Rising, so many damn zombie games. But the interesting thing with this one is that you play as a guy who gets murdered by the main character of Ninja Gaiden, Ryo Hiyabasa, at the beginning of the game, and then I guess he gets brought back to life by some evil syndicate, gives him this robotic arm thing that can kind of fire a gun, or I don't know. And then you're sent off into the world because there's a big zombie outbreak happening. And the more you tackle the zombies, you build a combo meter, and it's the same over-the-top violence of Ninja Gaiden, but with a very cool, almost cartoony comic book aesthetic art style. And you know what's funny? This is another one of those games where it's a lot of flash, a lot of fury, but not much substance to it. So almost like Ninja Gaiden 2 kind of teetered on this a little bit. Well, not saying it's not a great game, it was a phenomenal game, but it very easily could have gone into the mindless, not as much weight behind it. And I feel like that's what happened with this game, is it really suffers from it. Doesn't feel like your blows don't really seem to land all that much. It just didn't feel right. It didn't have a great satisfaction to match up with the incredible art style. Unlike Killer's Dead, because it looks kind of like Killer's Dead. Killer's Dead was a little strange with the storytelling aspect, but the combat had a great visceral feel to it. Versus this game has a cooler storyline going on with it, but the combat seems to be a little less than desirable. In my opinion, that's just how I felt about it. Now bear in mind, I don't put all the time in the world in these. Yeah, I've played so many of these that it's kind of like reviewers back in the day too, as you start to get a little overloaded when you see so many of these types of games back to back to back to back. It makes certain ones elevate more, it makes certain ones de-elevate. But this is one that, if it's still pretty affordable, I think it's like $20 complete. Definitely pick it up. Not saying it's bad, I'm just saying I can understand why it went unnoticed. It's still a fun play. I will have a good time going through it, no doubt. It's not on the level of Ninja Gaiden 2, but it probably is better than Ninja Gaiden 3. So take it for what that means. Alright, getting down to the last two, and I kind of already blew my load on the good games as far as the ones that you haven't heard about, so let's talk about these. Now, I haven't talked of these games before, but these are pretty dirt common, but like I said, I'm just kind of exploring the whole catalog now. So I've spoken of a few Assassin's Creed games. I talked about Rogue, I talked about Black Flag. So let's talk about one that's kind of a mid Assassin's Creed in my opinion, but still a pretty damn solid game. It takes place right in the middle of the Ezio Auditore trilogy, and that is Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Now, in my opinion, Assassin's Creed 2 is the best of the trilogy, and the games subsequently get worse from there for that trilogy. But overall, that is still a very good high point. If you want to consider Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations all the same game, you kind of can, because not much happens. But in this game, this is the introduction of your your assassin's order. So in this one, you can unlock little peons, more or less, where you can assign them on hunts, build a repertoire of them, and then hit a button prompt, if I recall, and then you get 3 or 4 assassins who'll come in and help you take out enemies, and then go off into the wind. Hence why it's called Brotherhood. That was the big hook of this game. So it really played identically to Assassin's Creed 2. For the human side, you continue with Desmond's story, and then you can go ahead and recruit new assassins who will come out and provide temporary buffs, go out, do some damage with you, and then peace out. And this game also takes place in Rome, which back then, it was very cool to see these really, what we considered photorealistic recreations of these, like, legendary historical locales. So going through and playing through, like 14th century Rome, going through the Colosseum, going through this and that, meeting up with people like Leonardo da Vinci was very cool. And still cool. And one, like, this is a dirt cheap game. I have a sealed copy of it. If you run into me and I have it, ask for it, and congratulations, it's yours. Probably not, because I don't leave the house, but hey, who knows? But yeah, one that's fun, and I'll probably get through the other 4 Assassin's Creeds one of these days on these videos. I'm considering doing just a basic list. Let me know if you're interested in that. Just doing the most ridiculously common and expected list of Xbox 360 games, because that's kind of what we're getting to here. Alright, and the last game we're going to talk about is actually one I've spoken about that I was pretty disappointed about, but hey, there aren't that many of these on the system, and that game is SSX. No Tricky, no SSX4, just SSX. This game came out when EA was really in the height of their villain phase, where I think they make you log into the EA servers. I believe that's the first time I signed up for an EA login or email address or something that I had to do was for this game. And I had avoided I just hadn't picked up any of the SSX games because I largely missed a lot of the PS2 era when I was playing WoW. So when they announced they were bringing back SSX, and I knew so many people saying how great the series was, I was like, yep, I'm picking that one up. And it's fun, but it's way more... Like, from what I understand, the SSX series is a very arcade snowboarding game, and this one seemed to teeter more into the simulation side of things, which just doesn't work. And it removes some of the cooler features that I've heard about from the other games. Like, I believe in SSX 3, you can do a full mountain run where you can start at the peak and then go through every single different run until you get to the bottom of the mountain. And this one's just highly segmented, does not have the same level of freedom, not as flashy, not as colorful, not as over the top, but it's still a pretty damn solid snowboarding game. After playing Stoked Big Air Edition and then remembering this one, I don't know. Stoked might be better, but also this one I think controls a little bit better. But if you're into your snowboarding games, we are getting to the winter season here. That's one that you might want to pick up. And I think you still can play it, unlike some of the other EA games. You don't have to be logged in online to play it. But yeah, there you go. Another 10 games you need to go and run out and immediately buy before the prices continue to fall. Oh wait, go up. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. 3,500 subs. I am in awe. I can't believe it. And the nicest comments you guys say, hearing people say like, wow, a real quote unquote YouTuber. Yeah, I'm just a guy here, not trying to be overproduced. I don't really ever plan on hiring an editor. I like making my own videos. I enjoy being the sole source. When I find out other people have things written for them, or they have another person do it, yeah, I can understand having another editor. Sometimes it'd be nice. But when you have other people writing your material, and even then, I don't write any of this. This is all off the cuff. I've done scripted reviews before, and I have been told that they're better, but also there's a lot more effort that go into that. And I'm very happy with what we're doing here, and thank you guys for being happy with it as well. As always, keep the suggestions coming. I had a guy recommend a game called Ballers the other day, which I picked up for like $8. So yes, please. I know there's 1,000 more 360 games out there, but I need a little help with the curation as well. I don't want to just kind of throw stuff at the wall and see if it sticks. But anyways, I release a new video every Tuesday. It's been so nice getting a hold of you guys. Take care.